Everybody, so this is my roommate Shion deck, and I'm going to let him showcase it for you guys.
Alright, so the ruler is Shion. She costs 3 to judge, 2 anything in a blue. And her continuous ability, it lets you look at the top card of your deck at any point in time. Whenever she activates, she turns into a 900-1000 ruler. Her enter ability lets you put the top card of your deck onto the field, as long as it's a resonator that costs 5 or less, or into your hand if it's anything else. And then her God's Art ability costs 2 blue mana, gives her +5/+5 till end of turn, so she becomes a 14/15, and then deals damage equal to her attack to a target J or Res. For Regalia, you run 4 hydrominica. It's kind of the signature Regalia of Shion. It lets you put the top card of your deck onto the bottom of your deck just by tapping it, and then also has the ability to put any card from your deck on top of your deck by paying 1 with Shion and banishing it. So on turn 3, you can go into the turn with 1 mana left open, draw for turn, pay 1, use Hydromonica's ability to put any card on top, and then banish it, untap for a turn, and activate Shion to guarantee a Seraph or Arthur or anything on turn 5 on turn 3. You run 4 bows. It's really strong, gives Shion target attack. It comes into the field with 2 counters on it. Usually you just remove 1 to deal 400 damage to target Resonator or J that's attacking or blocking. But you can also remove 2 to get rid of a standby card that's set or an addition Resonator. You run 2 Apollo, bringing the Regalia count up to 10. It gives Shion flying, and then it also banishes itself to bounce a Resonator to hand that you control. So any ETB effects you have, you can get them off again, and it also lets your creatures dodge removal. As for creatures, you run 3 Hera. She's a 2-drop, anything in blue. Whenever she enters the field, you may banish a 0-drop Regalia your opponent controls or you control, and if you do, then you draw a card. So she's a 5/5. She dodges bow herself, and then it's also really nice that she draws a card, considering you can see what's on top of your deck. You run 3 Seraph. It's the main thing that you try cheat out using Shion. Whenever it enters the field, it searches the deck for a 4-drop or lower Angel Resonator. It puts it out on the field along with it. It's a 1000/1000, so it's higher than a lot of removal gets. And it has flying, and every time it swings, you gain 300 life for every angel you control, including yourself. The main thing she gets out is Lucifer. He's a 4-drop, 2 purple, 2 anything. He also has flying, and he's a 900/900. And whenever he enters the battlefield, your opponent banishes a Resonator they control, so it gets around things with barrier, and it doesn't target the opponent either. So you can do it even if they have Excalibur. You also run Arthur. He is another 5-drop, 3 anything and 2 white. He has protection from darkness and fire spells, and he's a 12/12, so he dodges just about every removal. They have to bear him first, essentially, if they want to deal with him. And then the way you use him is at the beginning of their turn, or as they go into attack, you tap him, he becomes a 1200/2000 till end of turn, and they have to swing into him with every creature that they have available. So that's everything that doesn't have Summoning Sickness. He only hits Resonators, so he doesn't hit rulers, but he can take care of things like Dorks in Feist Thing or the tokens, and he can take care by himself of a Seraph Lucifer combo, because he deals 1200 and he has 2000. So Seraph and Lucifer represent 1900, and he deals 1200 to each of them, so they just die to him. He's actually pretty cool. As far as spells, we have 4 laying the foundation. It's really strong in this deck. It's an instant speed that costs 1 colorless and a blue. You draw 3 cards and then put any 2 cards from your hand on top of your deck in any order. So if you've already drawn your Seraphs or your Arthurs or your Lucifers, you can put them back into the deck to be able to set up a Shion play with them. and it also just digs 3 to help you find things that are relevant. Another cool thing you can do with it is if you go into turn 3 with 2 mana available, you can draw for turn, play it before you untap the rest of your mana, and that gets you 3 cards deeper. So you've then dug 4 cards to try and find a angel. And if you put it on top, you can then untap your mana for turn and activate Shion in order to get it out on field. 3 Lunar Lakes. Lunar Lake is really strong against most creatures in the meta right now. It's a standby card, so you set it for 2, and then it activates whenever a ETB goes off, and it cancels the ability and kills a creature, so it's really strong against things like Hook, Seraph, Lucifer, Hera, and then also stealth creatures. You run 4 Bear, Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic. It combos really well with Bow, because they swing, you bear, and then remove a counter from Bow, and it's dead. It has instant speed and Remnant, and what it does is it turns a creature into a vanilla 4/4 bear until end of turn. It no longer has abilities, and it just has 400 health. So it gets hit by things like Thunder, which deal 500 to a Resonator or Ruler or opponent. And it also dies to things like Space-Time Anomaly, which gives a 5/5 to any Resonator or Ruler your opponent controls, as well as drawing you a card. Space-Time Anomaly also has Remnant, so it can be cast again from Grave. And then what's really cool in this deck is you can run Spectating Magician. She's 2 anything and 2 blue, and when she enters the field, you may put any spell chant or spell chant instant from your grave into your hand. If it costs 1 or less, you cast it off of her ability, and if it doesn't, then it just goes back into hand. So it lets you Thunder again, it lets you use Charlotte's Water Transformation again. Anything with Remnant gets 3 uses now, and you can also lay in the Foundation again to try setup for plays. She also has a 400-800 body, so she dodges a lot of remover herself, makes them pretty much have to combo removal on her, and she's just a really cool card all around. As far as mana goes, 4 Ruler's Memoria. You run a couple colors, and you have 10 Regalia in the deck, so you're just trying to make things as efficient and smooth as possible. You run 3 blue-reds. You have Thunder in the deck, and you want to be able to burn things like Dorks early. And between that and Ruler's Memoria, you have 7 red sources, so you can pretty much Thunder as soon as you have it. 2 blue-purple and a blue-white. You run Lucifer, and then you run Seraph and Arthur, and that makes it easier to hardcast both of them, so you don't necessarily have to have 2 Memoria out. And that's the deck. It's actually pretty fun to play. Give it a try.
Just leave a like or a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to see. Later.